When you think of Spider-Man, you probably picture the wall crawler swinging across the city and cracking wise whilst webbing up bank robbers and supervillains. But what really makes Spidey one of the world's greatest superheroes is his intelligence and adaptability. When he faces a new enemy, he doesn't wail on them with no rhyme or reason. Instead, the webhead breaks down their strengths and weaknesses to assess the best way to take these fools down. So you know what? Let's put Spider-Man's skills to the test by putting him up against every single major Batman villain and seeing how he does. And in this case, we're seeing how he's gonna win. So let's take a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and this is how Spider-Man would defeat every major Batman villain. Number 10. Clayface. After coming into contact with radioactive clay, Basil Karlo was transformed into a mud monster called Clayface. Now, he might not be as well known as the Penguin or Two-Face, but there's no question that Clayface is somebody you do not want to mess with. By hardening his body, he can crush his enemies with ease. Alternatively, the shape-shifting creature can trap his foes in his body, smothering them to death. He can also take on a corrosive texture, incinerating anything he touches. And since he doesn't have conventional organs, Karlo has no obvious weaknesses, making it rather difficult for anything to take him out. Despite being one of Batman's most physically daunting foes, Clayface is the kind of guy that Spider-Man would actually wipe the floor with. If he's exposed to a solvent like hydrogen fluoride or liquid nitrogen, Clayface will freeze or shatter within a matter of seconds. Because Spider-Man has access to the most esteemed laboratories in New York and probably makes solvents in his spare time, Basil knows that he probably wouldn't stand a chance against the wall crawler, which is why he would probably try to steer clear of him. Number 9. ManBat. Using a gland from vampire bats, Dr. Kirk Langstrom created a serum that could restore a deaf person's hearing. But when Langstrom tested the concoction, he noticed that it had the slight side effect of turning him into a blood-sucking bat monster. Because he can turn people into a creature like himself by sucking their blood, it's easy to see why ManBat is one of the most terrifying things in Gotham. However, Langstrom probably would also be pretty easy for Spider-Man to defeat. Due to his hypersensitive hearing, ManBat is vulnerable to sonic attacks, and because Spidey has a plethora of sonic weapons thanks to his encounters with Venom and Carnage, fighting Langstrom probably wouldn't prove a challenge. Now, let's look at the worst case scenario. What if ManBat gets the drop on Spider-Man and bites him, turning him into a bloodsucker like himself? Well, if this happens, old Webhead has actually nothing to worry about. As has been explained in 2006's Blade number 1, Spider-Man's radioactive blood will kill any infection, including a vampiric one. In fact, Spider-Man should let ManBat bite him, since his infected blood would cause the supervillain to pass out from radiation poisoning. Number 8. Mr. Freeze. Because Mr. Freeze can only survive in sub-zero temperature, he's forced to wear a cryosuit which regulates his internal heat. This outfit is airtight so it will maintain its temperature regardless of the environment that Freeze is in. Now theoretically, Mr. Freeze should be easy to defeat. If his outfit is ruptured, he'll be incapacitated the moment that he's exposed to any temperature above freezing. However, his armor is so dense, Spider-Man couldn't really make a dent in it even if he hit Freeze at full strength. But fortunately, Peter doesn't have to rely on his fists to thwart the Mad Doctor. In Amazing Spider-Man number 518, the web slinger encountered a murderous foe called Charlie Weideman, and because of his armored skin, Spidey couldn't hurt him. As a result, he trapped the rogue in an atmospheric chamber, increasing the pressure until his armored body broke down. If Parker trapped Freeze in this chamber, he would just need to increase the pressure level until all of Victor's cryosuit cracked open. After that, Freeze would be done for. And if that fails, Spidey could just play Batman Arkham City and copy the strategy that Bats used to defeat the evil cryogenist. Number 7. Scarecrow. If you had to compare Scarecrow with any of Spider-Man's rogues gallery, it would have to be Mysterio. Having no superpowers, both criminals rely on illusions to best their enemies. Although Mysterio relies on holographic technology to make his illusions look legit, Scarecrow uses a much simpler technique: drugs. After being exposed to Scarecrow's fear gas, his victims will suffer horrific hallucinations that can potentially scare them to death. Now, it goes without saying that Spider-Man has his fair share of issues. After losing his parents, Uncle Ben, Gwen Stacy, and many, many others, it's safe to assume that Peter has suffered more trauma than most, and because of this, you think that Spider-Man would be paralyzed by grief and self-doubt if exposed to Scarecrow's fear gas, right? However, the Wallcrawler can defeat Scarecrow the same way he's defeated Mysterio time and time again, and that is relying on his spider sense. No matter what the fear gas forces Spidey to see, he knows he's not in any danger if he doesn't feel the Peter tingle. Since Scarecrow has no powers, Spider-Man could walk right up to him and lay him out flat with one punch. Number 6. Bane. Due to his vast intelligence and astounding strength, Bane is a force to be reckoned with. But if he needs an edge in battle, he can pump his body full of venom, a toxin that amplifies his strength to an inhuman level. While this drug courses through his veins, even Batman struggles to defeat this muscle-bound crime lord. Spider-Man, on the other hand, well, he'd actually have little trouble. Because of his web shooters, heightened agility, wall-crawling ability, and his spider sense, it's easy to forget how strong the web slinger actually is. Since Spidey constantly holds back his punches, you might not realize that he's actually one of the world's strongest superheroes. Although Peter couldn't match the power of Thor or the Hulk, Bane wouldn't actually be a problem. While on Venom, Bane can lift 2 tons, and if he pushes himself, he's capable of lifting up to 3 tons, which sounds pretty impressive, but you also need to remember that Spider-Man can lift, let me just check my notes here, 20 tons. That's the weight of 2 fully loaded school buses. Theoretically, the wall crawler could beat Bane by just disconnecting the venom tube from his skull, but since Spider-Man is 10 times stronger, he could end the battle simply by pounding Bane into submission. Number 5. The Riddler. Being one of the smartest people alive, the Riddler has proven to be amongst Batman's most formidable foes for decades, despite harboring no superpowers. Even though Spider-Man could knock his lights out with a single slap, it's never easy to defeat the bolder sporting criminal. Now, we all know Edward Nygma's MO. Whether he set a trap to kill a civilian or primed a bomb to go off in Gotham, the only way to stop these disasters usually boils down to answering a riddle correctly. But because Peter Parker has a staggering IQ, cracking Riddler's brain teasers should be a cinch, and if he gets stuck, you can always just consult Google. But since Riddler is a bit of a sore loser, the cane-twirling supervillain rarely fulfills his side of the bargain after his riddle has been solved. Fortunately, Spider-Man has fought nutcases like Green Goblin for years, so he's pretty ready for supervillains to change the rules when things aren't going their way. Even though Spidey should be able to solve any riddle, the wall crawler would probably have 4 or 5 backup plans ready to ensure the Riddler doesn't get the drop on him. Number 4. Killer Croc. Due to suffering from an extreme version of atavism, Waylon Jones developed the physical characteristics and bloodlust of a crocodile. Dubbing himself Killer Croc, Jones decided to dedicate his life to crime and also eating people. Much like Bane, Spider-Man can hold his own against this sewer-dwelling supervillain due to his super strength. Unfortunately, Spidey can't just batter Croc senseless, since his hardened exterior makes him able to shake off almost any attack. But because Spider-Man has fought the Lizard umpteen times, he knows exactly how to take down a reptilian-like foe. The first thing that Spider-Man would need to do against Croc is web up his mouth. Although a crocodile's jaw muscles are designed for clamping down, it takes a lot more effort to open them. If Spidey webbed Croc's snout and arms, he would be pretty much helpless. And that's not all. Because Croc is cold-blooded, he'll pass out if exposed to intense heat. By luring Killer Croc into a powerful heat generator, and don't worry, there's apparently loads of them in New York and Gotham, Spider-Man could defeat the overgrown alligator without laying a hand on him. Number 3. Poison Ivy. With her ability to control plants and men, Poison Ivy has proven to be among the most dangerous people in Gotham. The only reason why Batman is able to beat her is because he's trained his mind rigorously to resist Ivy's mind control. Unfortunately, Spider-Man might have an issue with fighting Gotham's biggest eco-terrorist since he's easily enticed by attractive women. He became so googly-eyed while facing Black Cat, Elektra, and Silver Sable that he allowed them to escape justice on more than one occasion. Because Ivy's abilities are strong enough to work on Superman, it seems like Spider-Man wouldn't have a chance against her. But the moment that Ivy tries to kiss the wall crawler with her lethal lips, his spider sense would likely kick in, causing him to leap out of danger. Even while Spidey is under Ivy's spell, she wouldn't be able to deactivate his spider sense, making it nearly impossible to kiss him. Although Spider-Man isn't a botanist, he knows that a bit of weed killer is all he needs to make short work of Ivy. After arming himself with herbicides like glyphosate or bromacil, he could destroy Ivy's weaponized plants and knock her out in a heartbeat. Number 2. Reish AlGhul. Despite being a master tactician and an exemplary swordsman, Reish AlGhul wouldn't need to fight Spider-Man physically. Instead, the wicked alchemist would hit Peter in his heart. You see, Reish has cheated death for centuries by bathing in the Lazarus pits. Not only do the mystical properties of these pools prolong his life, they can also resurrect the dead. And because Spider-Man blames himself for letting Uncle Ben and Gwen Stacy die, Reish could mess with his mind by placing their corpses in the Lazarus pit and resurrecting them as his minions. Reish would assume Spider-Man's blind devotion to his loved ones would stop them from attacking him, making Spider-Man in turn an easy target. Although it would be agonizing for Peter to relive his greatest failures, he would be logical enough to understand that the revenants of Ben and Gwen aren't the same people that he knew and lost. I mean, he had the same mentality when Miles Warren cloned Spidey's dead friends and family back to life. It would be tough, but Spider-Man could put these zombies out of their misery before defeating Reish AlGhul, knowing that it's actually what Ben and Gwen would want. And number 1, the Joker. Simply put, there is no single strategy to defeat the Joker. Batman knows the demented jester better than anyone, and yet he barely beats him upon each encounter. Although Spider-Man has the advantage in terms of strength, that's simply not enough. If Spidey wants to take the clown down, he'll need to get past a horde of goons, navigate around death traps, and face some heavy hitters like Amygdala and Solomon Grundy. Although Spider-Man can zip through booby-trapped rooms and beat an army of henchmen without breaking a sweat, he'll have to do a lot more to best Gotham's most infamous supervillain. If Spider-Man had Joker cornered, the insidious prankster probably wouldn't worry, since he always has another trick up his sleeve. By exposing Spider-Man's friends to the Joker toxin, the Clown Prince of Crime would force the Wallcrawler to choose who to rescue. If Spider-Man managed to save everyone, the Joker would activate a timed explosive to blow up the building full of hostages that you didn't even know about until now. And it wouldn't matter if Spider-Man deactivated the bomb in time, because the Joker would have 10 more schemes ready at the drop of a hat. Even if Spider-Man caught up with the Joker and had him beaten and handcuffed, the chances of defeating him without suffering a single casualty are slim to none. And there we go, my friends, that was how Spider-Man would defeat every major Batman villain. I hope you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ, but the O is a 0, or you can swing by Instagram, where it's the same handle. Hope to see you over there. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.